Welcome to Traction with the Tiger, your go-to podcast for staying ahead in the world of accounting, business, and beyond. Hosted by Boyum's own Tax Tiger, each episode dives into hot topics, industry trends, and invaluable tips to help you thrive. With engaging guests, insightful conversations, and practical advice, Traction with the Tiger delivers the expertise and inspiration you need. Now, let's get started.
Welcome to Traction with the Tiger. I am your host and Tax Tiger, Chris Wittich. I focus on moving myself, my clients, my firm, and the profession forward. As always, our podcast is set up in the style of an EOS meeting, but today we are trying something a little new, and we have the three-person pod going. We'll see how this works, or if we'll talk over each other all the time. Our guests today are Becky Gibbs and Kevin McCarty, who work in our factoring industry group. So let's start with Becky. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm Becky Gibbs. I started here at Boyum 17 plus years ago, so I think I'm in my 18th tax season right now. I am the head audit partner for Boyum. I got into that role, I think, 4 years ago now, and lead our factoring niche.
All right, Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourself. You've not been here 17 plus years.
No, I have not. My name's Kevin McCarty. I've been with Boyum about a little less than 3 years now, since 2022. When my wife and I moved out from Montana, I was working at a tiny little firm in Bozeman, Montana, and I've been with Boyum since I moved out here. And we've sort of been building up this factoring group a little bit the past couple years, so we're excited to have a decent group of clients now.
All right. So introduction is done. We got to start with the segue in the EOS meeting. So a business and personal best from the last couple of weeks. Becky, what do you got?
Personal best, we just booked a family vacation to Mexico that we're leaving for right after tax season ends. So
Nice.
gives you something to look forward to. The first time our kids will ever be out of the country. So that should be fun. And business best, I'd say, is, well, besides doing this podcast with you, because it is very exciting, working with Kendra and Kevin here to get our booth put together for the factoring conference in May.
Nice. Kevin?
So, personal best. I have a small child. My son is now 15 months, so it seems like there's always something new. Lately, he's blowing kisses when I drop him off at daycare, and he's giving me high fives when I come pick him up, so that's pretty exciting. And then business best is the past week or so, it seems like we've been issuing financial statements for the jobs we did in February, so it's nice to get those out the door. And I'm also excited about the conference we're headed to in May.
All right. I can relate to the small children. But, man, Becky's got me thinking about vacation now. So I'll say my personal best is that we are intending, we have two kids. We're going to try and go to Wisconsin Dells for like 2 days. Small venture out of the house. The 3-year-old will be very excited for that, I'm sure, but bringing the baby with as well. So we'll see if we can sleep not at our own house. So small venture for us. Business best, I would say the 3/15 deadline was yesterday, and I was talking to somebody else earlier, and I said I did not work on a single return that was due 3/15 on 3/15. I think that's pretty good.
Has that ever happened in the 18 years?
That's never happened before. But we got a few processes figured out, so I think it went very well. Certainly did for me. I think it did sort of department-wide and firm-wide, but definitely a good business best for me. Our data, it is episode 8 already. We're on our 8th episode, and it is March 18th when we are recording this, March 18th, 2025. For our rock review, we've got our 3 rocks for the firm: caring and thoughtful, getting things done, and work with purpose. I would say those are on track, right?
Those have to be on track
track.
if we got things done yesterday, right?
Absolutely. The headline, just past that 3:15 deadline here at the office. I think in particular, filing of extensions early really helped with that deadline. I got to check in with the admin, but I think it's safe to say the admin probably enjoyed their best 3:15 in the 20 years I've been here. So our to-do list next up is episode 9. We're going to talk about what's happening at the IRS, or maybe what's not happening at the IRS. Yeah. But our issue for today is factoring. I remember when I first heard of this, I said, I don't even know what that means. Maybe I should know what that means, but what is this industry all about? What do they do?
Yeah, so factoring is where a company, which is called a factoring company, will buy a third-party customer's receivables. Typically, why that would happen is the customer is either small, so they don't have the manpower to do their own invoicing, or they're just starting up and they need that liquid cash immediately. So what the factoring company does is they will buy the receivable at a discounted rate, and they work on getting the collection from it all for a small fee. And the fees really depend on what type of industry it is in.
So what's the average fee? We're talking 1%, 0.5%, 20%? What's a fee?
Well, for a lot of our clients, they work in the trucking and transportation industry, and it seems like a standard fee is around 3%. For a company starting out, maybe if you've got a bigger portfolio, you get a better rates. But it seems like that's kind of where that industry standard is at the moment.
All right.
Yeah, it's completely dependent on the risk within the industry too, and the risk of the factoring company's customer's customer. So,
Sure. Okay.
how they can collect.
One thing that the factoring companies can do is if these small companies go to a bank for debt, then the bank is looking at their credit, and what the factoring companies will do is they can actually look at the credit of the companies that are going to be paying the invoices, so it can be better for a small company just starting out.
Sure. Okay. So how did we get started with it? 18 years ago, we didn't have any factoring companies,
we
did
did not have them 18 years ago. Gosh, I want to say it was probably about 8 years ago, roughly, maybe even less than that. We happened to, one of our fellow partners got a client that was a factor, and so we took them on as a client, did a review for them. They outsourced their controller work, which is pretty typical for a lot of factoring companies because they usually run pretty lean. So they outsourced their controller work, and the lady they were outsourcing with, she's out of Chicago. She has her own company where that's all she does is be the controller CFO for factoring companies. She enjoyed working with us on that one client. She really taught us a lot about the industry, how to approach it, helped us really put together standardized procedures, footnotes, things like that. And then she just kept referring more and more of her customer base over to us. And based on talking with her, we found out, this is kind of an untapped market potential for the CPA firms because they're not really serviced by a lot of other CPAs. I mean, the big four, they're involved. There's other ones involved, but they're like, hey, there's about, I want to say 800 factoring companies. And
in the U.S.?
I think it's across the world.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of them are U.S. based. And typically they are required to have an audit or review, which is what Kevin and I specialize in because of their banking needs. So the banks are typically requiring some type of a test service, which is where we come into play.
Sure. Okay. So obviously we must be providing them attest services, the audits, the reviews. What else do we do for those factoring clients?
Yep, we can do the attest services, so the audits and reviews. Otherwise, we also are doing a lot of tax work with majority of our clients. We have a fellow partner who's teamed up with us on that side of it all. And a lot of our clients, all their equity is wrapped up in their company. So one of the things he's started working on with them a lot is how do we start getting some cash out of your company before you're ready to retire.
Yeah.
You can have some more liquid money. So a lot of tax planning, a lot of tax services. We can always offer the wealth management side for the individuals.
Sure. Okay. So how do we approach, when you're talking about your standardized procedures, like how do you approach this industry? How are your procedures different for a factoring client versus, a manufacturing client or a professional services firm?
So there are some differences just with the nature of the business, with the fact that they're purchasing all this, they're purchasing AR, so the AR on their books is not traditional billings for services like you would see on on the manufacturer side. So we do a lot of analytical procedures on the AR balances, and one thing that we're able to provide to the clients is just understanding the industry and understanding the fee basis and what their significant assets and liabilities are, so that we can kind of provide a more tailored service to them. Just being able to speak their language a little bit, because it is kind of an industry that's different from a lot of other ones.
Yeah. What's the biggest risk that they encounter? If they're collecting the AR and it's really based on their client's client, like how do you even identify what the risk is, or what's the most common big risk that they run into?
Well, I think this year it was fraud.
Okay.
We had one client who was a victim of a very complex scheme related to fraudulent invoices. So they have to do a lot of due diligence and legwork to verify everything and make sure that it's legitimate and collectible.
Yeah.
And then, even they would be that and bad debt that not related to fraud, just invoices not being collected or not collected in a timely manner.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So I think you're both referencing you have this event coming up. Tell me more about the event. What are you doing?
Yeah, so we're a part of the International Factoring Association, and they have an annual event, which is usually held in a warm location. This year it's May 7th through the 9th down in Palm Springs, California. So Kevin and I will be heading down there. We're going to have a booth at the event. We're working on I think it's going to be pickleball theme. So we're going to have a pickleball theme. We'll probably put together a little slideshow that just shows how fun Boyum is and what we can do for them. And we're hoping to not only get to see our clients, because a lot of them, they're all over the country, so we don't ever meet in person, but we'll hopefully get to meet some new clients and new referral sources, and hopefully be able to connect even our clients with people. So yeah, we're excited to go down there and spend a few days. They have a good time. I went last year for the first time, and they have a good time at these events.
I mean, if you needed someone to carry your suitcase and then play golf for 3 days while you attend the conference, I could be persuaded to.
We're staying at a golf resort, aren't we?
Yeah, I think it's all golf courses down there.
Yep.
So.
Yes, it is. I'm familiar with the area. I could join you guys. I don't know much about factoring.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have time for golf. It's full days because.
Yeah.
What do we start?
So I
7 in the morning.
I should play 2 rounds a day, is what you're telling me, because
you
you'll be busy.
You will have time, because I think it
squeeze in
goes
2 rounds a day.
about 7 to 5 or so, and then there's the happy hours.
I'll hit the morning tea time and then the afternoon. It'll be perfect. Thank you for the invite.
You got to sell a little bit while you're there, though. Maybe you bring some of them golfing with you.
Sure. Yeah,
Yep.
you find the ones that like to play golf, and I'll be like, "Do you want to skip the conference tomorrow and play golf with me instead?" So you said like you're going to see some of your clients there. What's the sort of common profile of a client? Like, what are the size of these companies? How big are they, or what do they look like?
Yeah, we range quite a bit because we have ones that are just starting out with their factoring, and so they're small right now, but what's really unique is they can grow really fast. If they're able to get their name out there, it's easy to be able to grow your company. So we have ones that are small to ones that have been around for many, many years. So the common profile is really not so much of a thing for us. We can do factoring. Well, Kevin said we do a lot within the transportation industry. We have others that are in healthcare and staffing. So that piece of it all is not really. It's more just, is it a factoring
It's the
client,
factoring.
and do they
That's
want?
the unique part? Okay.
Yeah, do they want to work with Boyum and Kevin and I?
Yeah, and even the small ones, the banks are still requiring.
Yep.
You know,
Usually
the
they can
audits
get
and-
out of it the first year, but after
Okay.
that, then they are still required. And like I said, they tend to grow pretty quickly too. So that small stage doesn't last forever.
Super long. Okay.
And usually that small stage will be the review level work, and then as they grow, and then their line of credit grows, and the bank will at some point require an audit. So some of them
Yeah.
will start out with the review, and a few years down the road, we might be doing an audit.
Okay. That's interesting. So as we wrap up our issue, how do we solve, like, what are the takeaways? What's the unique value proposition from us for those factoring clients?
Yeah, when I look at how we are different from other CPA firms, I think it is the uniqueness in that Kevin and I are specializing. So most of these are calendar year ends, December 31st. So our tax season is filled from January through March with factoring clients. We're able to really dive deep, understand what they are, but because we understand it so well, we're able to get in and out very quickly for them. And a lot of times an audit or review is like, especially on a small company, a headache, because that's another thing on top of your day job. We're able to, we typically average 2 days for a review and 3 for an audit or so.
Yeah, 3 to 4.
3 to
probably
4.
For an audit.
We have a meeting with them on a daily basis to go through our questions. Our teams are very standardized, so we use the same team throughout, and we're able to turn these things over very quickly, so it's not hanging over their heads, and they can
excellent.
keep the banks happy. And we just enjoy working with all of these clients, and they're teaching us every day too. So
Excellent. So, as we go to conclude here at the end of our meeting, we got a scale 1 to 10. How would you rate this meeting / podcast? Kevin.
You're going to make me go first?
Yeah. What do you got?
I mean, this is the only one that I've been on, so I would lean towards 10 out of 10. But,
That's
I'm
fair.
not too full of myself,
That's
so
fair.
I'll go with 9.
9. He's going with 9. All right. Decimals are allowed. I'm a big fan of decimals in these, as Becky knows. But
yes,
Becky,
yep.
what
I'm
do you
gonna
got?
do a 9.5 because I
9.5.
agree, Kevin. We need a little humble pie in there, but not too much.
Okay. Well, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the 3-person pod. I think it worked. I'm gonna go with a 7.5 though, because I don't have a third mic stand. So that's not a
We
knock
get
on you.
dinged for
No,
that.
I don't. I mean,
If I knew we were getting judged on that, you could have had mine.
I gotta be real about it. I gotta hold the microphone. So, something for our tech services to work on here at the firm is getting a third, memo to IT. I need a third mic stand. But otherwise, it was very good. So, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.